All right, hey guys, I'm streaming now on the 8th of June, 2026, here in Los Angeles, in my neighborhood of Echo Park. I'm like really grumpy today. I'm really not in a good mood at all for the last few days. And part of that's just personal stuff of just me not being, living my best life exactly. And just stress with like various work obligations. But the main thing getting me down is the state of Los Angeles and California and this election that happened last week. So you guys saw maybe the amount of effort I was putting into my ballot, and I did give up halfway. I didn't get to all the down ballot votes for judges and stuff. But I submitted my vote for Spencer Pratt and for Steve Hilton, and this was a big deal because I've never voted Republican, really. I'm not a Republican. I identify as independent, which I started doing around, I don't know, like I moved out of the States like in 2014 from New York. In New York, I was registered as a Working Families Party member. And that's like a further left wing party that usually endorsed the Democrat. But it could also there was some Green Party, there was some peace and freedom vibes in there, but it was like very practical stuff, like working family stuff, right? Like wages and housing and affordability things. So that's the stuff I cared about in New York. And then I moved to Berlin and I missed the whole Trump era and the whole woke nonsense stuff that was happening in the States. I kind of was watching that from afar, and that's when I started podcasting and kind of critiquing what the left was doing. And my whole thesis with this channel and with everything that I do is that I am a liberal, but I mean that in like the traditional sense of the word, like a classical liberal. Like I believe in freedom and free markets with fairness and justice worked into a system that benefits everybody. So like my rights end where your rights begin, that kind of politics. That's what I believe in. I am not a Marxist. I used to think that way as a kid, but I have just like lived too much life now to think that that's a good idea at all. And so I think that since I left New York and since that whole Trump era started with woke stuff, I think that the left, the Democratic Party, has been taken over by Marxists, by socialists and communists, the Democratic Socialist Party, and also just general socialism. And my main evidence for that, I think, is like I was on Reddit. I've been on Reddit for a long time, but I was on Reddit back then, and I got banned from our socialism. I used to be a part of this. Like it wasn't like my defining political personality, but I kind of felt like I could relate to a lot of stuff about this. An international community, I'm on Our Socialism now, an international community for socialists to discuss current events in our world from our anti-capitalist perspective. Certain knowledge of socialism is expected from participants. This is not a space for non-socialists. Please be mindful of our rules before participating. So I'm banned from this one. From Gaza, they're Gaza supporters. It's a given to them that it's a Holocaust. This is their evidence that it's a Holocaust. Never mind that there were military infrastructures under a lot of these buildings. They're like literally like celebrating North Korea. That's insane. So just keep that in mind. Like if you support Gaza, you are on the same side as people that support North Korea. They hate European liberals. Okay. They want to take credit for like any do-gooder activity in which everybody gets free things, like letting everyone pass through this highway toll. So to me, like, so this is telling. I'm actually not sure what this means. I'm looking at some comic here. Humans are the virus, which is like a common perspective from environmental justice supporters. People that support environmental justice are largely to blame for the Palisades fire, for instance, because those reservoirs were let empty on purpose because life shouldn't be in the Santa Monica Mountains. There should be no Malibu and Palisades community. It should all be natural land because the people there are a virus on the earth. Eco-fascist rhetoric is what it sounds like. Stop trying to shift blame away from capitalism when it's obviously the problem. Like, I just feel like at some point, like, this is for teenagers. This kind of talk is for teenagers, and I was susceptible to that because when you grow up within safe and peaceful capitalism, you don't really understand what else could there be, and all you see are the problems. You see the injustice of, like, a teacher making so much less than fill in the blank, right? Like, or like just the way that supply and demand works in the labor force and why certain jobs are prioritized. Like, why do engineers make so much more, right, than like plumbers or something? And those kind of problems stick out to you because it seems unjust. And I still feel like there's like some validity to that. The world is unjust at the end of the day. And I think when you grow up, you kind of you start accepting that more. It doesn't mean that you just excuse injustice. It just means that you kind of understand that it's very, very difficult to impossible to have a perfect system, obviously, right? And capitalism has done so much for humanity in terms of like bringing people into a livable existence with less suffering. Capitalism basically did that. And I'm not like some capitalist fanboy. I'm not some free market, evangelist or anything like that. Far from it. I just kind of accept that democratic capitalism has created my favorite places in the world by far. And the lifestyle that I enjoy is largely to blame, or largely thankful to free markets and free societies. So I'm just like a huge fan of that. All right. Now, all this to say that like I'm here in California and I'm just like super bummed because I'm seeing the full corruption of this system happening right now. And I just wanted to share some of this. Maybe I can try and splice together my own video from pieces that I've been seeing, because like right now I'm feeling very, very sad that this LA mayoral election is being stolen from Spencer Pratt. And I'm saying this sincerely. I'm like really depressed by it and pissed by it because I'm going to show you like this bit that I think kind of sums it up from this guy who's
California.
So this guy calls himself Mr. Reagan, and like I am not a fan of Ronald Reagan. And maybe that's like my further red pilling that I'll get to eventually, but like I don't like Ronald Reagan, okay? Like he is not my guy at all, but I'm not going to like hate the messenger here. He has like a really strong point that I want to show you guys.
Voter fraud.
All right, so
and they are so
it's here right
and
now.
That is really they're just governor and a Republican mayor of LA at Los Angeles is indeed corrupt. I think I'm getting PTSD from
believe this
investigation. That is a big deal. Hopefully they figure out what's going on. It's exposed. But what's crazy to me about all of this is just how fed up Californians must be to potentially be electing a Republican governor and a Republican mayor of LA.
This is my
But
point.
I believe it.
Like that's me. Like I'm a Californian who's fed up with the corruption and the chaos here. All the Democratic plans of addressing homelessness has been fraud and corruption. All the Democratic plans of high-speed rail and public transit and improvements there has been inept and fraudulent. All the Democratic plans of election reform, like we just voted for some stupid reason to go back to political redistricting to fight Trump. And now we're having like this very corrupt system of voting happen right now as I'm speaking right now today. Today, by the way, is like the first day that Nithya Raman has overtaken Spencer Pratt because of all these supposed mail-in ballots. And I'm going to get to that. I want to show you some evidence of what I'm basing my opinion on. But I just wanted to show you kind of this thesis statement first.
Because look, the Spencer Pratt phenomenon, is not really about the tragic Palisades fire. It's not really about homelessness. It's not really about crime and safety or a deteriorating infrastructure or animal cruelty or quality of life or absurdly high taxes. It's not really about any of those things because these are all symptoms of a much bigger problem. And I think they're just proving it with this election. The Los Angeles mayoral race in particular is really just about one thing: corruption. All of the problems I have listed here are caused by the corruption of California bureaucrats, the elected and unelected officials currently in office, and those who have controlled Los Angeles for decades. And these have all been Democrats. This is a problem of Democrat corruption. And that is really frustrating, I think, for many Californians, and especially the residents of Los Angeles. Because I lived in California for 13 years, and I know many people there, and obviously...
So yeah, he's spot on, and I feel seen by this guy, okay? I feel seen because I've been like crying corruption to my friends and family and just how sick of it I am, you know, like, so I have this whole playlist here of Los Angeles that I'm building, and all, you know, this is available for you guys to check out too. I need to put Nick Shirley on here, which I was showing to my parents, and they thought it was somewhat convincing, which is encouraging. Not that it changes how they vote. Let's just watch a short together here.
And this right here is another example of fraud, waste, and abuse here inside the homeless industrial complex here inside of California. This hotel used to be a Ramada. In 2020, the state of California bought it for $8 million. It is now 2026, and this hotel is not even nearly close to being finished. And to finish it, it's going to cost $20 million, and it's going to be used to house 32 homeless individuals here inside the state of California. So per person, that is going to cost upwards of $625,000 per person, and there is nothing to show for this hotel right now. That just goes to show how bad the system is, where in its own state, in its own city, it takes up to 6 years after they purchase it to even make any sort of progress. I mean, this is all the progress you're seeing here inside the state of California. It's a little crazy. And so you would think after 6 years, the state of California would have more to show for $8 million and now $20 million to be invested into this building. 6 years later, this place has had hardly any work done to it, and it's still years out from being completed. That is just another example of fraud, waste, and abuse here inside the state of California. And click right here to see what happens next.
It's like it's hard for me to even go throughout my day. Like, I was just sitting here before I started recording today, just like staring off. Like, I don't have energy to barely finish this sentence, you know? Like, I'm going through this stuff because I really think it's meaningful to share this and try and express how I'm feeling. I thought about like calling a friend or family member and like just telling them like how bummed out I am, and I'm just like, I'm tired of coping with it. I'm tired of like getting into frustrating conversations in which I don't feel heard, and in which like I'm trying to impart a shared feeling that like I have, my friends and family are here, right? And they're not outraged the same way. And it makes me think maybe something is wrong with me, I guess. Like, maybe it's just because of where I'm at in life and the sensitivities I have or something. But like, this is like,
right now,
I'm just gonna have this on mute for a second. This is not the one I want to find either. I want to just like show you guys truth. I want to show you the truth. I think I'll get to the thing that maybe I found most inspiring today. So I've never heard of this podcast, Viva Frei, Live Free, Latin, German. I don't know who this person is. And the person he's interviewing, I don't know who he is either, but I want to show you guys just the first 5 minutes of this.
Mr. Grobert, for those who don't know who you are, they should, they will, but tell them real brief like.
Well, concerning this stuff, I mean, I'm a former journalist for the LA Weekly. I've been out here for about 30 some odd years in Los Angeles, working on various projects. Now, What's Up with Lord Buckley and America's Untold Stories with Eric Hunley. That's on the YouTube space, but I'm also was in the journalism space for many years here in Los Angeles, California.
You are a big...
So this guy is a credible journalist to some degree. He's citing real books and real cases, okay? So it's not just opinions that he's going to be saying. And so the guy on the left, he's interviewing him. And this guy on the right is kind of a whistleblower, I would say, in my opinion. That's kind of how he comes across to me. And he's going to say some things that I think you'll find shocking.
With whom you have some beef.
Also former editor of National Lampoon, as somebody pointed out in the comment section. Also former editor of the Weekly World News to cover.
Well, I mean, the biggest story now coming out of California is what's going on with the LA mayoral race, which...
Also the gubernatorial, Viva.
Okay, we're going to get into all of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to this. I'm sorry to jump around a little bit here, but I want to show you these graphs that I saw today also.
When Trump walked out, this kind of leads me into the next.
So this podcast shows this, right? Okay, so this is what we're dealing with right now, okay? And the guy that I just left from, the journalist guy, he's going to talk about how this happens, okay? So what we're looking at right now is, let me give you some basic numbers. We have about 40 million people in California, all right? And I think 23 million people in California are either registered to vote or are able to vote, as in of voting age and not with a criminal record and maybe a legal citizen, right? So like within the 42 million Californians, a little over half can actually vote. And of those 23 million people, I guess that's how many mail-in ballots were created. In Los Angeles City, basically, so all of California is 40 million, let's average. Half of that is Southern California. So 20 million is just Greater LA and San Diego, all right? Now, Greater LA specifically is like 17 million. LA City itself is only like 8 million. And of that 8 million, there are only 1 million that are registered, I think, to vote. I think that's the right number. And so those numbers are going to be like discussed later. Now, what we're looking at here, this is a primary election. So of the 1 million people in LA that can vote for LA mayor, most of them are not voting. It's a primary. It's an off year, as they call it, right? You have way more people. You have way more turnout for general elections on presidential election years. But even for like Trump versus Clinton or Trump versus Biden, those kind of big elections, you still only have 33% of the country voting. And so right here, this kind of makes sense, right? So if we have 1 million eligible voters registered, like we have a quarter of them actually voting, apparently, okay? Voting is like a hassle for people. I've gotten into some Reddit arguments about this. Maybe I'll get to those later. I'm sorry that I don't think that's clearly here. But basically what we're looking at are the election night results, in which Bass had 117,000, Pratt had 86,000, and Nithya Raman had 61,000. And so that was like a really big victory night for Pratt, and I was pretty happy that he came in second, because the way that California works for some weird reason is that the primaries ignore party. And if I'm to believe Spencer Pratt, I have to look at my ballot again, which I still have because I didn't mail it in. I voted in person, and that's a whole other story that I'll have to tell you about. I'm losing my train of thought. The top two candidates get into the general election in November, no matter what party they're from. And the reason it's like that is so that it can be two Democrats against each other instead of a Democrat and a Republican. So usually the Republican is just knocked off the Republican. The more conservative person is knocked off in June, so that in November it's two leftists going against each other. That's kind of the way it's designed. And you can make of that what you will. I think it's a kind of weird choice, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not a big fan of political parties either, so it's fine with me. It kind of makes sense in a way. But you have all these other politics in the way of that, right? Like, from both sides, you'll hear people complaining about why someone else didn't drop out so that those votes didn't take away from the total vote of this kind of person, yada, yada. But the main thing to look at here, obviously, is with these red arrows of this enormous jump for Nithya Raman. And the question today is, like, is this credible? Can we believe that this is happening? Usually with incredible results, we require incredible evidence. And that's kind of what I'm calling for right now. I want to know how this happens. And so this is what we're going to be talking about. And that's what now I'll set up this next guy who's going to talk about it way better than me. But this jump for Nithya Raman, and now as of today, she's past it. And I just want to show, like, you know, this is the Los Angeles subreddit. This is not some socialist or left-leaning. This isn't the Democrats of Los Angeles. This is just straight up LA's subreddit. And they're just, like, straight up dunking and hating on Pratt. The people who vote by mail fucking hate you. Hope that helps when Spencer Pratt's asking why this is going like this or making sense. Like, I almost voted by mail. I don't fucking hate him. LMAO, it's true. Get bent, Pratt. Chant it with me. Spencer Pratt, what a twat. Spencer Pratt, punchable face. Spencer's a waste with a punchable face. You know, it's just really juvenile stuff, right? It's like really pathetic and juvenile, but like it hurts me, and like maybe I should just get off Reddit, right? But to see that this is my city, I literally got an ad from Pratt for mayor of him encouraging people to vote early by mail, specifying that it is safe and secure. Now he's going to change up, lol. Well, this kind of comment is telling because plenty of Pratt supporters have voted by mail, but you wouldn't know that based on what we're looking at here, right? Like, there was a day here, I think it was this one next, in which 0 votes were counted for Pratt, and Nithya Raman took him over, which is statistically impossible for 0 votes to be for Pratt. Like, obviously there are people that vote for Pratt that mailed in their votes. This many far leftists voting for Nithya Raman, who is a far left candidate, left of Karen Bass, is like it's quite incredible. It's kind of unbelievable, you know? So it really makes me doubt the system, and that's kind of the theme today, okay, of doubting the system. I'll go back to that last one now. All right, let's listen to this.
Mr. Grobert, for those who have to go over, got to go over a little bit of the candidates here, because you live in LA despite all better.
I was evacuated. The fires flows from Raman, who is actually my city council woman. So I am in this thing in the thick. I have supported, and people know I've supported Spencer Pratt. I've financed. I've sent him money for his campaign. I'm not shy to say that. And Spencer Pratt is the word on the street, the hottest candidate I've ever seen in American politics right now.
And so do we have to go over the LA stuff? I think I'm just bringing up the Kalshi odds right now, because what's blowing my mind is that despite Nithya Raman being to be down,
let's explain the system for people at home who don't understand the system, the corrupt system, not the system. You're asking about the legit system of the jungle primary, which is fair, that the top two basically have a runoff in November. But let me explain the absentee ballots, and maybe people can understand this. There's a total of, roughly speaking, 1 million voters in the mayoral election. There's about 400,000 or 500,000 that voted in person, and then another 400,000 or 500,000. So let's say there's 1 million total. The state of California mailed out 23 million absentee mail-in ballots, which means physically speaking, David, 22 million ballots are floating around in the political universe right here in California. So what happens is all of these absentee ballots are picked up by runners who go around before the election, scooping them up at industrial places, apartment building lobbies, schools, warehouses, nursing homes, institutions. They take them out to safe houses. In those safe houses, they bundle amounts of absentee ballots that are for sale to political operatives. There's a number of cutouts. It's not like Bass is doing this herself, or Rahman is doing it, or Steyer is doing it. You can purchase 100,000 ballots. You can also do this with the 837,000 names that are still on the quote-unquote dead voter list. Despite the incredible work by Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch, they have court orders to remove them, but of course they were not removed. So there's 837,000 names that the Secretary of State and other people on her staff are privy to that can be used as currency because these people have either moved out of state or are dead, Viva. So that's just physical names that you could use. The absentee ballots, the physical ballots, are gold. They're currency of people who have actually received them. So if I have an absentee ballot that says David Fry on it, I now return it as David Fry. I just fraudulently write your signature and send it in. I can purchase.
I'm gonna interrupt him now, so I gotta add my own commentary here, of course. I was looking for these websites that I sent to my friend, kind of just supporting everything he's saying. Like, this is real stuff, right? And like most people I know, most left-leaning people are just gonna dismiss this as like some kooky right-wing conspiracy or something, but it's real.
Fraud. This is an ongoing.
A Marina woman will plead guilty to paying people, including homeless people on Skid Row, to register to vote. 64-year-old Brenda Armstrong made her initial appearance in a federal court in Santa Ana yesterday. She's expected to enter the plea at a later date. Prosecutors say she tried to get homeless people to sign petitions about various ballot measures, but sometimes the signatures were disqualified because people weren't actually registered to vote.
They're going to aggress.
Okay, that's like a minor one, but like it's so easy to find examples of this if you just like look it up. This one is more alarming even. The Public Interest Legal Foundation has uncovered widespread inaccuracies in California's voter registration rolls, including nearly 95,000 deceased registrants, tens of thousands of duplicates across state lines, and thousands of records with placeholders or fictitious birth dates. So that's a pretty big number, 95,000. That easily swings this kind of election, okay? And this is known. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a known, real thing that's happened, okay? Here's another report on it from CBC. I mean, this is CBS, okay? This is not fringe research that I'm doing here. Duplicates and dead people. This is from 2020, and like, I hate to say this. I don't want to be saying this, but like, stuff like this gives me sympathy for Donald Trump and agreeing with him that like the 2020 election was stolen. I mean, you can even look up this crazy kind of stat, like bar graph of USA presidential election voter turnout, like something like this, okay? I want to look at the one that's like showing like 2020 versus the other years. You have this major spike, okay? None of these are it. Exit polls. I'm not going to be able to find the one I want. If I ask how many people voted in 2020, versus 2016 and 2024, for instance. No, that's not it. Where is this graph that I've seen? I'm getting really off track here, I know. So this one is kind of hard to see, okay? It's kind of hard to see this. But if you look at this votes cast for the winner, okay? So in 2020 it was Joe Biden, right? You have this anomalous bump here, okay? And this is the graph I was like really looking for, but this jump in the gold number, like, it's kind of hard to fathom, maybe not. Like, this is a little conspiratorial, I'll admit. Like, I'm not going to stand by this too strongly, but it gives me, like, my point here is that, like, I'm seeing credence in Donald Trump's claim that the 2020 election was fraudulently stolen from him. There's credence to it, okay, in the numbers. Like, there was this huge jump, hard to see in this graph, I'll admit. There's this huge jump for Biden compared to Hillary. This was Hillary losing, okay? And then this was Biden winning, and then this was Biden or Kamala losing, all right? So we're supposed to believe that this many people just decided to vote for Biden in that election. And what I'm showing you today is why I'm doubting that number, for instance. So I'm going to go back to this guy.
100,000 of those. There's 20 absentee ballots. The physical ballots are gold. They're currency of people who have actually received them. So if I have an absentee ballot that says David Fry on it, I now return it as David Fry. I just fraudulently write your signature and send it in. I can purchase 100,000 of those, 200,000 of those, 1 million of those. Why can I purchase them? Because there's 22 million floating around in the California universe that are not accounted for. That is what they've created. So we are really at the will of whether these people will honor the election results or move Nithya Raman up into the second position, which is what I think they're going to do, because her policies are exactly the same as Karen Bass. They're best friends. Bass would win that election in a heartbeat against Raman, and Pratt would be removed as a threat to the common order of Southern California.
I'm going to bring this up so that people can appreciate the numbers that we're at right now.
Yeah.
So this is Los Angeles mayor results. We're at 183,000 votes for Karen Bass, 35. 157,000 for Spencer Pratt. He's at 30%. And 119,000. So total right now, what did you say the total registered, or is it the total amount of votes that should be cast?
At this point, usually 500 to 600,000. LA County's 1.3 million, but that doesn't include the city. I'm just talking about the city vote is about June 26th. So it's 500,000 were cast for the mayoral race. So let's say 500,000.
So 500,000. Right? Roughly now we're up to I'm going to say roughly. We're up to 322,000. So you've got
right, but that's just the physical voting. That is not the absentee ballots, which are the same amount. Now they have created. Yes, no. That's what I'm talking about. Forget about what happened. That's meaningless. Those are all Republican and Pratt supporters and people who are old school.
I'll tell my story now about when I voted. So you guys watched me fill out my ballot, right? I was filling in my mail-in ballot, all right? But like, I can just attest to this feeling ever since I've lived here of going and dropping off my ballot, and then I come home and then the winner is already announced, right? It's like a foregone conclusion. Like, oh, we just know the numbers. We know it's blue. We know it's this Democrat's winning, da-da-da. So they just call it. And it's like, you start thinking like, well, was my ballot even looked at? So this time, like, and like, I should add to that, I'm not dropping this off in the mailbox, okay? I'm not dropping this off for the USPS to pick up and take to some sort of voting center where they count everything. I'm putting this in like this election box, this kind of official looking, it's bigger than a mailbox. All it does is collect these envelopes once every 2 years or whatever. It's in front of my local library, and it's not postmarked. There's no markings on it at all. And it's very easy for me to kind of picture what this guy is describing. And he'll get to this at some point if you want to watch this whole thing yourself. But he's going to like talk about how there are 3 ways to vote. Okay, there's the in-person way of doing it, which is electronic, technically. There's then the mail-in, like you're mailing it in and it has to be postmarked on election day or earlier. And then there's this third way that I've always done, which is that you just drop it into this box, and it's not in the post. It's just a box. And then that box is collected, or not, and then counted by people as they see fit, basically. So his point is like, we've created this system that is just like perfect for corruption and manipulation. On top of that, there's like, I was telling this to my friend, like my friend Bryn, who was kind of like, you know, waving it away, but nobody asked me for any proof of who I was along this process, right? Like when I voted in person, they asked me to confirm my address. Okay. But otherwise, like I can just fill that out and drop it off. Now, I don't request a mail-in ballot, so they just make it for everybody. They did away with this whole idea of like you have to request one. And I can see some of the logic there. Like obviously the whole front-facing, public-facing attitude is every vote counts. Voting is so serious that we just want to make it available for as many people as possible. And that's all well and good. That sounds fine. But then it's like, well, how about we have some voter ID laws? Why, like, you have to have an ID to do so many different things in this world, obviously. Why not for voting? They're like, no, that's racist. You can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean it's racist? Like, what kind of claim is that? That it's so stupid to me. And yet, that's this woke logic that we can't make it somehow accountable and traceable to who's voting. And we're just going to attack you with this kind of slander that it's racist and that you're a racist for suggesting it. And that way we can just kind of manipulate the votes as we want. Like the logic makes sense the way he's describing it. And he's going to reference like what Newsom has done, how, you know, Democrats have done this to each other back and forth, you know, throughout recent history.
The amount of absentee ballots, they have now moved the goalposts so far out legally that they have 3 weeks to count the votes. They have 1 month to do the entire process. 7 days from Election Day, postmarked ballots can still be received. 7 days, postmarked on Election Day. Okay, so now those ballots are going to be counted. Now, the point of the matter is, the red in the gubernatorial, which we'll get to, I'll explain how that's affected in the gubernatorial. But in the mayoral, what they're attempting to do is move Rahman up into the number 2 spot to get rid of Spencer Pratt. And that is only going to be done by the manipulation of absentee ballots.
Because people have to understand, like people were saying, why would Nithya Raman even stay in the race if it dilutes votes from Karen Bass? Especially since that I think Nithya was saying like vote for Karen Bass, but staying in there anyhow, specifically so they can do this, because then your choices are going to be commie or commie as opposed
Yeah.
to commie or capitalist. Or
Absolutely. They're not going to
democracy.
be able to criticize each other. She agrees with every policy of Karen Bass. The free needle exchange, the homeless policies. That's what they thought was going to happen. They never foresaw the rise of Spencer Pratt into this mix here, and now he must be destroyed.
Let me bring this up. This is what you sent to me before the
Yeah.
show.
So, am I going crazy to think that this is believable? Do you guys think that this is nuts, right? This is just some fringe podcast no one's heard of. I'm going down some right-wing YouTube rabbit hole or something like this, right? I wish that was the case. Like, I wish I could just be, like, snapped out of it and be like, oh, actually, whatever, everything's fine. But, like, the sun is shining and business as usual, and I live in a, this free society where everyone is thriving and flourishing. Like, I just wish that was the case. Like, my depression right now, my fatigue is that I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been, like, pointing out the problems within our society for a while now. And Spencer Pratt comes along and he kind of gives me this, like, charge, this, like, this hope, kind of like this feeling I had with Obama, where it's like, oh wow, maybe actually someone can come in that just, like, speaks in a way that is understandable, that isn't just, like, politics talk, in a way that's, like, relatable, like, just speaks truth to power, basically. And it's quite inspiring to hear somebody like that, right? I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way with Trump. I don't really feel that with Trump personally, but sometimes here and there I do. I do think he's funny. And so I kind of get it. I'm more of a sympathizer of Trump than I'm not actually a fan. But I don't despise him like so many people around me. Like, it is just like the raison d'etre for so many people I know to just hate Donald Trump, and just, like, as soon as anything about the world comes up, it's just like, well, I hate Donald Trump, he's an asshole. Oh god, fuck that guy, he's terrible. Oh god, I just can't believe what he's doing now. Can you believe this idiot we have as president? Like, so many people are obsessed with talking in this way that I know, like, in my life, you might be like that, and it's a problem. Like, I don't want to be doing that with Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, and I don't do that. But, like, when I watch stuff like this, like, whenever I ask people, like, what is it about Trump that you hate so much? What has he done that you hate? Like, the whole 4 years when I was living in Berlin, I was not in the U.S. at all for that administration. And people just, I know that from afar, I know that everyone was just hating him with a passion. The subreddit Resist was started. There was that march, the women's march at the very beginning, because they thought he was such a misogynist. You just had all this, like, grassroots allegedly action being taken on, because people were just, like, enamored with the idea of revolting against this tyrannical president. It's like, well, what did he do? I have not heard one substantive claim that Trump did that was so terrible in those 4 years. The most that has been mustered to me was from my dad, who said that he stuffed the courts with conservatives. And for sure the Supreme Court is now conservative, so I suppose you could blame Trump for that, or credit him. So anything else? Like, what else did he do that ruined everyone's lives, And now on this term, it's like, well, what has he done? Well, ICE is terrible. Enforcing the border is terrible. Like, why is that terrible? What is wrong with enforcing a national border? Why is that so evil that you have to define your life by hating him? Right? Like, I know that, like, Rachel Maddow spent those first 4 years, like, investigating the Russiagate stuff, and that turned out to be nothing. You had, like, all these, like, accusations against him for committing all these conspiracies and frauds. And he's probably a fraudulent guy, let's be honest. I mean, I don't know. I actually have no proof. I just assume it like the rest of you guys do. And I'm sure, like, in his businesses, right, with Trump University and Trump meat products and Trump hotels, like, I'm sure that as a business person, he's less than perfectly scrupulous, right? But no one has gotten anything to stick on him, right? And I'm not saying that that means he's innocent. I don't think of him as an innocent person. I just, in the USA, in terms of our laws and the way that like the USA like comports itself, I haven't seen Trump do anything that is so awful that makes me hate him. And I can say that about people like George W. Bush. I mean, 9/11 on George W. Bush's watch, with forever wars coming from it, and the Patriot Act, and like airports changing forever. Like, those are real things that I hate. That happened because of a president. Like, I can point to that and think, I really despise this presidency, and I fought it and voted against it twice. And that was also stolen. That election was stolen in the year 2000. Like, I hate that. And I feel that way about Democrats now. It's not forever wars. It's not the Patriot Act. But it's this whole idea like, no, we have to flood big cities with illegal immigration. We have to do that. Why? And it's a bunch of communist gobbledygook as an explanation. Well, borders aren't real. No human is illegal on stolen land. We're humane. We love all of our neighbors. We love our houseless neighbors. People on the street deserve to be left alone there. They just we can't enforce the law for stealing under $1,000 from Walgreens. We can't sweep encampments because these are people with dignity. Like, all this bullshit is a result of a corrupt system. And like, my ire toward the early 2000s neocons is the way I feel now about Democrats. And my politics are basically the same. I really value my own personal liberties. I want to be allowed to do drugs. I want to be allowed to have abortions. I want to be allowed to shoot a gun. I want to be allowed to say whatever I want on the internet. That's how I feel. Those are my political values. I want to be able to dress the way I want to. I want to be able to say things without being arrested like I would be in London. I want to be able to have a political opinion like I would not be able to in North Korea or Russia, okay? Like, these are the things that I value. And I don't think that the Democrats are representing me in those values at all anymore. I think that they're telling me what I should be thinking, what I should be saying, what pronouns I have to use, I'm not allowed to say retarded. Now people will hate me for that. I'm not allowed to, all this stuff, like this, tension around race with the N-word, all this stuff of policing language, this nanny state, finger wagging librarian prude behavior. That used to be Christian conservatives that I would make fun of with my friends. And now it's Democrats, liberals. They're not liberal. This is not liberal. I'm liberal. I'm a liberal. Okay? Conservatives are liberal. They're just conservatively liberal. Marxists are not liberal. And the left has been taken over by Marxist communist assholes who only want power, who want to steal elections and maintain power, just like all the fucking Marxist countries do. The Democrats are that party now. The Democrats are corrupt. They stole the election in 2016 from Bernie Sanders. He was obviously the coolest guy. He's the last good politician in my lifetime. He's the last good one. He stood up for real workers' rights and actual normal people things. He's not relevant anymore. He's gone. He's gone woke. He's let BLM take him over. He's now capitulating to all the woke commie nonsense. Marxism is bad. It's bad. And I feel so sad that everyone I know, from my parents to my best friends in LA to my friends in Berlin to my ex-girlfriends, all of them, they have to be cool and to the left. And because the Democrats have been taken over by Marxism, they now think it's cool to be Marxist. They now think it's cool to have DEI programs. They think it's cool to, make sure we have a black mayor because white people have patriarchy and colonialism and all this bullshit, right? And it really saddens me because it's you guys are liberal. I know you're liberal because of how you actually live your lives. You actually earn money based on merit and you spend money to have the lifestyle you want. I know that you do that. So do not pretend that you're a communist. You do not really support a system that wants to take all of your money, your tax money, and give it to the rest of the world. And I'm not talking about Israel or Ukraine. I'm talking about Somalia. I'm talking about Mexico, to illegal immigrants, to all this money that is sent, literally sent out of this country to just families in El Salvador. Like, that is where tax money is going right now. It's not that I mean, I would vote to give foreign aid to El Salvador. I would demarcate enough of a budget, not a lot, but some money, to try and depose a tyrannical regime in El Salvador, or the drug cartels taking over El Salvador, to make El Salvador a better place. I would vote to do that. But I do not want to help El Salvador by letting a bunch of people flood into LA from El Salvador illegally, without any documentation, be given benefits with no questions asked, and for them to then take those benefit cash and send it to El Salvador. That is not the way I want to help people in El Salvador. Like, that is not the answer. And for some reason, like for Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, that is the answer. For Tim Walz in Minnesota, that's the answer. That's the Democratic playbook. We're going to pilfer from our rich country because we're so rich and so guilty as white people. We're going to pilfer from our own people and give it to these desperate, needy countries and just let them take it from us. It's like this, like, you know, this submission to, oh, we're so evil, we don't deserve our own tax money, we don't deserve to be living so well while the rest of the world is suffering. We don't deserve to have nice things. We shouldn't have electricity. We shouldn't have mansions in the hills. We shouldn't have any impact on Mother Earth because we're toxic to Earth. We're cancer. We shouldn't be breeding anymore. We should be encouraging hedonism. We should be encouraging women to just stay single forever and tell them that it's better for them to work for some corporation their whole life instead of have a family. We'll make fun of people that have families. We'll tell guys that they're losers so they don't feel good about themselves. Why should they? They're white people. Why should they feel good? Like, this is the attitude of the Democratic Party. And if you vote Democrat, you should really know why you're doing that. I think that you should really think about why you're doing that. And for me, I still feel this pressure. Like, even when I filled out my ballot last week, it went through my mind that I should just figure out whoever the most conservative person is and vote for them, but I still couldn't do it. I'm not conservative. I'm just anti-Marxist, anti-woke, self-defeat, anti-defeatist. Like, the Democratic Party is a suicidal, masochistic party in California. Okay? Nationally, there's still some hope. In other states, I'm sure I would be happy to vote Democrat if they just stand for normal things, right? Like, I would rather vote to, you know, I'm in favor of legal access to abortion because I think it's safer and sounder. You're not going, like, I don't believe in regulating people's behavior, okay? Ever. I don't believe in doing that. I don't believe in taxing cigarettes. I don't believe in, like, I don't smoke cigarettes, okay? I hate seeing those stupid pictures of, like, some dead person's rotting lungs on a box in front of me at the check. I don't want to see that. Why are we mandating that on things? I don't need that. I don't need the government to do that. Just show me a white box of cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's the government's job to impose these morals on things, okay? I don't think we have to tax soda. I don't think we have to do all these stupid democratic things, okay? But I do want to protect legal access to abortion because you're not going to stop kids from having sex. I want to protect cannabis because why should we support Mexican cartels when you can just grow this plant wherever you want? It does not, who cares? Like, just let people grow it. Like I'm liberal on this stuff. I'm a personal freedom person. So don't call me a conservative about this stuff. I just think that the LA should not be a war zone. I shouldn't read about how, like, driving through, even on Broadway, which is a nice street in downtown Los Angeles, that you can get punched in the face and mugged in your car. Okay, I don't want to ever read something like that. That shouldn't be happening in Los Angeles, California, USA, okay? It should not be happening, but it does. That happens, right? The stories that we hear should not be happening, and Spencer Pratt ran on just common sense ending that stuff, and you're telling me now that this, like, your Democrats are just going to come in and prevent him from even being on the ballot. It's infuriating to me.
This is out in City of Industry where they start to count. This is the warehouse that'll be sent to the counting place. And I sent you another photo maybe of them counting, but this is the warehouse of the absentee ballots. That's what I sent you.
Okay, and so now, just so we understand this.
Listen to this moralizing, right? I mean, it's not that I disagree with this, but the tone of this. This is from the Los Angeles County Registry. Many voters choose to return their vote by mail ballot on election day. Those ballots are valid and deserve the same level of care, security, and verification as every other ballot cast in the election. Taking the time for work ensures every eligible vote is counted accurately. Like, I despise that tone of voice. Do not moralize to me about how much more you care about votes than I do, okay? It's bullshit. This is a smokescreen as far as I'm concerned. Like, my friend Harmony said it well to me today. Like, wokeness is the perfect disguise for corruption, okay? Period. Like, literally, because of wokeness, we've had, like, oh, well, sorry, you're a white person. We're not hiring white people. Too bad. We're allowed to do that blatantly, even though it's a crime to discriminate. We're allowed to blatantly do that because don't you understand that whiteness is evil? And we're the New York Times, and we're just going to print white person with normal lettering, but black person, we're going to capitalize that because they need to be powerful. You still read the Times after they choose to do that? Like, I cannot trust an editorial board that does something like that, or talks about Hassan Piker. Like, I just heard that, like, from Sam Harris's podcast, that Hassan Piker is being favorably described by the New York Times. Dad, I have to talk to you about this. Like, they're encouraging theft. Like, it's so easy, right, for, like, people in their, like, suburban safety to, like, be like, cool, wow, this is really, you know, avant-garde. This is great. I want to see, like, this is a destructive force in society. This is burning it down, okay? This is what this is, okay? You cannot have a functional society with this kind of attitude. Like, I steal things. I mean, very rarely these days, but, like, in my past, I've stolen things, okay? I'm not going to pretend it was moral. It was simply an opportunity that I saw that I could get away with, and I did a calculus, not a moral calculus, just like a calculus of whether I'd get caught versus the risk versus the reward, and how much I needed that because I've never been rich, okay? So if I've wanted something from, like, you know, Target or wherever, and I thought that I could get away with it, then I could take it. And then maybe I'm, like, enjoying a thrill that I've taken, like, I've gotten one over on the man, right? But it's like, I'm not going to pretend that that's good. It's not good. You should not do that. If you do it, it's like a moment of, you know, impulse and weakness and thrill. It's not that it's a good thing to do. And the New York Times is here publishing that you should do it. I mean, it's insane. Like, this is not political protest, okay? And, like, they have this guy, this guy's a fucking asshole. The New York Times is a joke at this point. It's sad. Like, I don't want to say that. I want to rely on a journalistic product of record that we can all point to and agree on. That's what I want.
You said there were 22 million. Let me bring this back up.
22 million ballots floating around loose.
22 million
maybe
ballots.
not 22 million. Let me take that back, because there will be, for the gubernatorial, you know, about 5 million of those will be eaten up and sent back. So figure like 16 million are available for manipulation.
Let's round it down to be
Make it 10 million. I don't give a shit. Make
10
it 10 million.
10 million mailed.
I like the attitude of these guys right here, because it's like, the point remains, right? Like, let's just picture this together, okay? Let's just picture this together. California has developed a system where we evangelize this concept of voting easily by mail, or just in the box that I was describing before. We make this like a virtuous thing to do, because every vote counts. Don't you know that? It would be very, very bigoted and wrong of you to say anything against this system, okay? We have this moral superiority, okay? So we are going to create a ballot for every possible person. Let's be honest, I'm sure they printed 50 million of these, okay? It's not hard to print paper. Okay, so they have an overabundance of ballots just to be safe. And they can justify that, right? They can say, well, yeah, because what if someone hasn't been registered, and they can register even on election day? So now it's a good thing we have this extra one, because here was somebody that we didn't even know was registered, and now they are registered. They don't need they don't need an ID to become registered, remember. So they can literally have gotten here yesterday from Guatemala, and now they're a voter, and we can just hand them this. You're not allowed to ask for an ID, because that's racist, right? So we don't even know how many people live in your house. If you tell us that 6 people live in your house, we're going to send you 6 of these. We don't know. We're not checking. Then we have so many possible ways to fill it in however we want. We could ignore the ones for Spencer Pratt that we want to ignore. We can double and triple count the ones for Nithya Raman that we do want. Like, it's so easy to exploit. It's designed that way. And if there's any criticism, like, Newsom literally, this is like so telling to me. Newsom forbids federal investigation into voting. Something like this. Okay, so this is May 27th. So like 2 weeks ago. Signs legislation to further protect California elections from interference and intimidation, right? The phrasing of this, right? What a good guy Gavin Newsom is. What a paternalistic effort this is to protect us Californians, to protect our golden state from interference and intimidation from the evil Donald Trump. Of course, the first sentence, as President Trump continues to threaten political interference in the upcoming election. Newsom signed a new law to strengthen election protections, safeguarding voters and ballot security from interference. Basically, he's saying you're not allowed by law to come in here and investigate our fraud. And we're using, again, this language of moral superiority against you. And if you try to come in here, it's because you're the corrupt one. Everyone knows that Donald Trump is corrupt, right? We all run on that. Literally all my friends and family vote for Democrats because they hate Donald Trump. That is derangement. You are deranged if you hate Donald Trump so much that you would vote for... I mean, the fact that that bill last month passed proves it all. Like, Californians do not have scruples. Californians do not have high moral standards. You are willing to play in the mud and ruin your own bipartisan commissions just to fight Trump. Heaven forbid that maybe the country should be a little more conservative these days. Isn't it possible? It was like leaning left my whole life, and we got gay marriage passed, we got weed recognized as a normal, harmless drug, really. We've had like this ascent of like leftism in my lifetime, and now honestly it's going too far. Now we want to have like kids that no longer enter puberty. kids that can no longer have children. That's like what we're leaning toward now with trans activism. Okay, we have now kids that are fucking up their hormones and can never have kids of their own. Great. We have like, I don't really, who cares about sports and Olympics? Like, okay, so it's bullshit, right? That men can compete against women. Like, that's the extent that we're going to, okay? Maybe it makes some sense to be a little more conservative. If the whole country agrees on that, why do you have to die on this hill? Like, hell no, we are Democrats. That's our team. We have to redistrict all of California to screw over the rural parts of the state just because we hate Republicans. Why do you hate Republicans? Hi, Covey. Hi, Covey. Pisses me off.
Mail-in ballots, which in theory, if there were 10 million people living in LA, all of those could be bona fide valid ballots that someone signed that would count for
in California. I'm saying that there's 23 million voters in California. Just think about this. This is an absolute fact. 23 million voters in the state of California. 23 million ballots were mailed out. Okay. Only in the gubernatorial race is a couple of million votes. If you look at the gubernatorial, it's 1.7 million, 1.6 million, 1.5 million. So you're up to about 5 million, and then 5 million outstanding. That leaves 15 million absentee ballots, and I'm rounding these numbers off, floating around unaccounted for, Viva. That's where they go to work, because they've already picked up hundreds of thousands of these ballots and brought them to safe houses where they divide them up. The people who pick up the ballots are working for Armenian gangs, Russian gangs. The kids are runners. Let me explain the facts of life to the United States of America. These runners for a month run around picking up the absentee ballots from hallways of buildings and various sites.
I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to get each step. So they pick up unsigned.
He's gonna back this up. He's a journalist. He's seen this with his own eyes. He's investigated this stuff.
And mail-in ballots that are
in, let's say, okay, let me just give you an example. You're in an apartment building that's a 10-story apartment building. You go to the lobby, and there are absentee ballots that have been mailed to the people who live in the building. So they're all over the lobby, and you come home, there's yours, you put it in your apartment, but there's tons of them that are just laying on the floor in the lobby by the mailboxes. They scoop them up. These are kids who are runners for the Armenian gangs. How do I know this? Because sheriffs have arrested them with the absentee ballots in their cars. They take them out to a safe house, usually in San Bernardino, where there's mutt Bianco is working out of with the sheriff's department. And in that safe house, they bundle them and allow the operatives to know how much they're going to cost when an...
All right. I'm going to encourage you to watch this on your own. I guess I'm going to wrap up my little rant or whatever today. Maybe I'll try and share this playlist as well so you guys can like see what I've been watching. Keith Pictures, by the way, is my like main channel. I actually don't want to be caring about politics. I hate that every day I'm like waking up and thinking about politics, and like, I don't know, for me it's like foundational, right? And I think a lot of people feel this way. It's like, it's hard, like it's like housework, you know? It's hard to get to other parts of your interests when your home is not in order, and like politics represent our shared home, right? Our homeland. And I just want things to be taken care of. And I really do feel, you know, this guy recommended, I want to just look up one book. Is it this? Yeah, this book, by the way, I'm going to check this out. This talks about is that it? I can't remember if this is it. Oh, there's 3 different books. Fiction, crime, thriller, nonfiction. The real story. Okay, it was this one. This book describes what happened in the Palisades. Like, this is all by design. This is modern environmental justice activism that wants homes to burn. That's why you have policies like don't clear the brush, because this like weed plant, whatever that grows up to people's houses, is more valuable than your house. Don't you know? Because it's Mother Nature, and that's better than you. Like, there's a whole like industry of this. This is what environmental activism is these days. Okay. Like, people don't understand this stuff. People think like, oh yeah, I'm an environmentalist. I love Ansel Adams. I love nature. I love national parks. That's not environmentalism anymore, right? Like, clean air and clean water and Ansel Adams. That's my kind of environmentalism, but that's not what it is anymore, right? Climate activism demonstrations are not about that. They're about hating humanity, hating development of any sort. There's a long tradition of it, and that is the people that make all this climate activism outrage. And I don't trust them, because they're the ones that want to like burn down houses and not let you rebuild. That's like, it's all by design. The democratic bullshit is all intentional, right? I mean, these people know what they're doing, and I can't believe that. I just can't believe that more people can't see that. It pisses me off. It really pisses me off. All right, guys. Thanks for listening and letting me rant and rave and, express this a little bit. I'll be back later. Ciao.